the Minister of Trade and Industry, His Prudence, while explaining how Rwandans should respond during this period of rising prices, including fuel costs, have stated that when there is economic instability, people must change their mindset regarding their spending. This means tightening their belts and using as little as possible. This is after the Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority, RURA, announced the new public transport fares across the provinces. From the Gulf to Kigali, how the Iran, Israel and US war is fueling Rwanda's economic pressure, a distant war, a local impact. In 2026, tensions in the Middle East escalated into a dangerous confrontation involving Iran, Israel, and the United States. Explosions, missiles, strikes, and military mobilization dominated global headlines. But the thousands of kilometers away in Rwanda, a different kind of impact was unfolding. Not bombs, but rising fuel prices, increasing transport fares, and growing cost of living. How does the war so far away affect the daily life of Rwandan citizens? At the center of this global crisis lies one of the most important oil routes in the world, which is the Strait of Hormuz. It connects the Persian Gulf to global markets. About 1 in every 5 barrels of oil passes through it. It serves major oil producers like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and the UAE, United Arab Emirates. So when conflict escalates in this region, oil tankers are threatened, insurance costs for shipping skyrocket, some routes are completely blocked. This results into less oil reaches the global market. How war will disrupt global oil prices? This war affects oil prices through powerful chain reaction. Because military conflicts reduces production and transport, and here the oil becomes scarce. About fear and speculation, even before shortages happen, markets react to fear. Traders begin buying more oil in anticipation of future shortages. Towards the infrastructure damage, all oil fields, pipelines, and refineries becomes targets, and also this further reduces supply. The global pricing system also influences because oil is traded globally. Even countries that don't buy directly from the Middle East are affected, and this creates a global price surge, not a local one. But why Africa is highly vulnerable? Africa is one of the regions most exposed to fuel crisis because many countries do not produce enough oil. They depend heavily on imports and transport systems, rely on diesel and petrol. And when global oil rises, the import bills also increase. Government face pressure to subsidize fuel, and transport costs rise rapidly. This creates inflation across entire economies. On the other hand, Rwanda's unique vulnerability is well. Rwanda is particularly sensitive to global fuel shocks for several reasons, such as total dependence on imports, landlocked geography, and double cost effects such as experiencing global price increases and additional transport and logistics costs. So, even a small global increase becomes a large local increase. And these have visible impacts such as rising transport costs, like now Nyabugogo to Kamembe fares now exceed 11,200 francs, and other routes across provinces have also increased significantly, and the transport becomes more expensive for everyone, students, workers, and traders in general. But there is hidden impact about the cost of living crisis. If we say fuel is not about cars, it powers the entire economy because Food prices increases where farmers pay more for transport and inputs, and traders also increase prices to cover costs. Many business costs rise and inflation spreads. Everyday life becomes more expensive. Low-income households suffer the most. On the other hand, Rwandan leaders have already begun responding by encouraging public transport usage, promoting reduced spending. This is to mean tightening belts, adjusting fare structures, and this reflects an important economic principle, which says that when external shocks occur, societies must adapt internally. The globalization reality reveals that economies are deeply interconnected. Because a war in the Middle East affects oil, oil affects transport, and the transport affects food and goods. Goods affects everyday life, and even a country with no direct involvement in the war cannot escape its effects. While the war is a major trigger, everyone can ask himself, but the answer is no. It is not only the factor. There are many other contributing elements such as global demand for energy, exchange rate fluctuations, and regional supply chain inefficiencies. However, the timing and speed of the current price increases strongly link them to the war, and Rwanda feels the consequences, not through war, but through economics. In today's world, distance no longer protects economies. A conflict in the Gulf can reshape the cost of life in Kigali. The story of Rwanda's fuel crisis is not just about energy, and it is about the invisible threads that connect nations in a global system. Where news are given, history is rehearsed, unknown is known, theses are investigated, education is shaped. Subscribe, follow, like, share, and comment for more. RURA Media Rwanda, the home of documentary.